What's up, my friends? It's Griff Nielsen, your holistic lifestyle hacker, and today I'm excited to share this topic with you today because I'm going to talk about something that has plagued not only my own clients, but I've gone through this process of frustration and confusion, and I want to share with you what I believe is very simple. But for some reason, we as a society make it really hard. And that is nutrition. Think about it. Nutrition is what most people believe is very complex. It's daunting, right? It's mysterious. And what we're left with is going online and finding 25 different diet plans or something that is extreme in nature, and usually what ends up happening is we go from one extreme. If we're talking about the average American, we go from the standard American diet, which is extremely crappy, right? And then we go to something like a cleanse, or maybe we go full out keto. And really, at the end of the day, we have to ask ourselves the question, is that sustainable? And here's where people get messed up. The answer to that question we know is most likely no. I mean, think of it. When's the last time you stayed on a diet for the rest of your life, right? Obviously, you're still living, but are you on that same diet? Are you still, as gung-ho? Is it working for you as much as it did then? Here is the simple fact of the matter. Nutrition is not complicated. It's not complicated. I know that might sound contradictory because there is so many different options and different experts out there, and I get it, literally. I've read experts that say that carbohydrates are the absolute devil. You should not have them. Most likely they're keto advocates. And then I'll turn around and I'll listen to another PhD expert saying that, our body is optimized when we have good whole food carbohydrates. So who do you believe, right? Is this expert wrong, who is drawing from mounds of research, or is expert B wrong, who is also drawing upon mounds of research? And one thing I've learned about research is that you can look at research and it can support your own viewpoint. And it can support the hypothesis of a researcher, and they're going to cherry pick which research they want to support their cause. Well, let me be the first to say that there is a time and a place for diets. For example, there's a time and a place for a ketogenic diet. And assuming that the ketogenic diet is healthy, you can have a really good experience with that. You can lose body fat, you can overturn autoimmunities, skin conditions, you name it. There's a lot of great application for a therapeutic ketogenic diet. But usually that's under the context of somebody that's trained, whether it be a functional medicine practitioner or a nutritionist that really knows their stuff when it comes to those kind of things. But what about the rest of us? What about everyday life and eating in a way that is sustainable? And I want to share 5 quick things with you that I believe will simplify this needless complexity that we all seem to face. So the very first thing that I want to talk about is the quality of the food. No matter what, that is always going to be your number one thing. What is the quality of the food that you're putting in your mouth? Here's some questions you want to ask yourself. First and foremost, is it a whole food or is it a processed food? And if it is a processed food, is it minimally processed? So for example, you could make the case that certain beef jerkies might be minimally processed, if they've just added like sea salt or some paprika or something like herbs and spices into the beef jerky, and it hasn't undergone a lot of processing. Okay, that's a minimally processed food. So you're looking for whole foods ideally, or if it is processed food, you want to make sure that the foods still maintain a lot of their whole food components. and that the processing is really low. And a way that you can tell that is looking at the ingredients list. The ingredients list is, looks like an oak tree loaded with names that you can't pronounce. Like even with a PhD, that's not a good sign. So we want to keep it as close to nature as possible, okay? That's the first thing, the quality of the food. Number 2 is you want to control your blood sugar. Now, whether you're looking for weight loss or energy or better sleep, better mood, better concentration, you name it. Hear me out on this. You must control your blood sugar. This is absolutely enormous. I've been studying nutrition for 20 plus years now, and the common theme that I've seen with pretty much every diet that is successful is that they all control blood sugar, almost without exception. There's not a diet out there that's going to help promote weight loss that is not controlling your blood sugar. Now, this goes back to step number 1. If you are eating clean, whole foods, for the most part, you're going to be controlling your blood sugar. Now, if you're slamming fruit all day long, that might be an exception. If you're slamming potatoes all day long, that might be an exception. But whole foods are designed not to do that. I mean, when's the last time you went on a potato binge where you ate 5 potatoes in a row, just crammed them down, right? It doesn't happen because whole foods are designed, and that's why I led with step number 1, the quality of the food. It's designed to make sure that you don't overeat. There's enzymes, there's fiber, both soluble, insoluble. There's a calorie to fat content ratio that is designed by nature to make sure that we don't overeat. So number 1 is quality of food. Number 2 is control your blood sugar. And you do that mostly, the way you want to control your blood sugar is make sure that you're getting you're getting protein sources, good fat sources. You're moderating your starches. So you're not having too much starch, not having too many starchy vegetables like I said, the potatoes, or you're not cramming fruit all day long. So very common sense things there. I will say though, there is a time and a place for a starchy vegetable. Like before a workout is a great time to have maybe a sweet potato or something that's going to give you, if you're not on a ketogenic diet, to boost up your energy a little bit. Okay. So 2 is control your blood sugar. Number 3 is the quality of the food. Now, quantity. Quantity or quality, I get myself confused here. The quality of the food is number 1 and quantity is number 3. Now, here's what I'm going to say about this. Nobody's going to count calories for the rest of your life. I'm not going to do it, I don't do it, and you're not going to do it. Nobody's going to count macronutrients for the rest of your life. I'm not doing it, and you're not going to do it. But there is a time and a place to know what you're taking in. And when you're trying to fine-tune your diet, and especially, and I want you to hear me on this, especially if you are used to a whole food or a standard American diet, and then you transition into a whole foods diet, there is going to be a big learning curve there. Okay, you're going to feel more full. Your calories are going to fluctuate drastically from the processed food, which would probably be like a 3-to-1 ratio. Probably have 3 times more calories on the processed food diet than you would on a whole foods diet. But yet you're going to feel 3 times more full on the whole food diet. Okay, so tracking and understanding where your calories are massively important, at least at first. Finding out which macronutrient ratios, meaning what percentage of carbohydrates, protein, and fat you are getting into your body. And really just saying, okay, I'm going to give a starting point. I'm going to see where I'm at. I recommend just kind of tracking where you're at for a full week or 2, okay, without any predetermined macronutrient ratios. And then this leads us into step number 4. Once you see what you're eating, okay, excuse me, step number 4 is basically saying you want to start with a ratio. This is what, you don't have to do this, but I recommend this with a lot of my clients. Start with a 40-40-20 ratio. 40% protein, 40% fat, 20% carbohydrate, right? Remember number 2, we're trying to control the blood sugar. And this is really where we start to play with, almost like Play-Doh, with our macronutrient ratios. This is where most 99% of blogs and Instagrams and macronutrient ratios are not telling you, but because this is where the work comes in. With that ratio, what you're going to do is you're going to play with the carbohydrate. So let's say you go down to 40, 40, 20. I would maintain that for probably about a week, okay, to let your body adjust. And then what you're going to do is you are going to start to bump up or down the carbohydrates. Typically, you want to kind of bump up and just kind of see how you feel. So let's say you bump your carbohydrates up to 25%. Or even 30%. If you were to do that, let's say you bump from 20% up to 30%, what you would do is you would take 5% off your protein and 5% off of your fat. And you continue to do that until you find your sweet spot. Increase your carbs. And I would never go over 40% unless you're a competitive athlete on the carbohydrate. Never. Okay, so slowly bump it up or down and listen to your body. When you took the carbohydrate up, did you feel more energetic? Now give it some time. Give it a full week of just bumping it up. Bump it up again. Give it a full week. This takes time and patience. And listen to your body. Do you have more energy? Can you think better? Do you sleep better? Are you less irritable? If you're athletic, is your athletic performance going up? Is it going down? What's your performance in the weight room look like? Are your sets and reps going up or down? Is your recovery time greater because you're wearing out, which means, okay, maybe I need to bump my carbohydrates up. So you're really playing with this ratio and you're getting it to the point where it is working for you, okay? Now, this leads us to step number five, which is really all encompassing. You want to listen to your body throughout. Okay, when you're making the tweaks, and this is going to be a longer journey than you think, but typically at least 3 to 6 months, when you tweak the carbohydrate, like we said, do you feel the energy? When you tweak the protein, if it comes down, do you feel a difference there? Do you notice a difference in muscle mass? Maybe you lose muscle mass. I would doubt it with 5% down, but look for it. When you increase your fat, if you have a certain metabolic type, if you're more of a carbohydrate type and you're bumping the fat up, do you feel a little bit more lethargic? When you bring the fat down, do you feel a little bit more energetic, like you're, less sludgy, like, okay, I got a little bit more energy to me? But again, you're massaging these macronutrients, and the whole point is to get yourself to a point to where your body feels satiated, energetic, and just natural. And when you get there, it's a good idea for a week or two just to stay there and track it, just to see what it looks like. And then from there, you're going to have a pretty good idea intuitively where you need to be. And you can manipulate your diet and your nutrition to make sure that that you're sustaining that nutrition. What I mean by manipulating is you can swap out carbs, you can swap out proteins, you can swap out fats, but at the end of the day, you have a general idea how much carbohydrates you need, how much protein you need, and fat, etc. So it's a process, and again, nobody wants to talk about this because it takes a little bit of work. We want a quick fix. We want a ratio. But the thing is, there's not a ratio that works for you, that works for, he or she or anybody else. You are unique. And you have to understand, and that's why I want to give you these 5 steps. If you control the quality of your food, if you're controlling your blood sugar, if you know how much quantity of food that you're taking in, and then you're gently massaging and being intuitive and listening to your body about what's working and what's not. That's really it, right? That's it. If you have those basic principles, you don't have to go from diet to diet. I've in my own personal life, I've never been over 10%, ever. The only time that was an exception is when I lived in California for a couple of years and I kind of let myself go. But other than that, I've never been over 10% body fat. I've never struggled with energy. I've never been on a diet roller coaster. I don't wake up and consternate about, what should I do now? Or, oh no, summer's coming up, because it's just sustainable. If I want to lose 1% or 2% of body fat, okay, I'll tweak maybe the carbohydrate ratio and bring it down a little bit. But I'm not flipping out. I'm not going to extremes. I don't need to. Have I gone on a ketogenic diet? Yes. Have I tried other things? Yes. Have I done cleanses? Absolutely. Mostly just for experimental purposes and therapeutic. But I'd say 80 to 90% of my diet and my entire life has just been whole foods based and doing what I just taught you in those 5 steps. Okay, very simple. So there's nearly 15 minutes worth of what it's taken me 25 years to learn. I hope you like it. Keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate nutrition. It is simple. If you have any questions, please let me know. Please comment on this video. I'd love to hear your thoughts here. And I'd love to go back and forth if you have a different point of view. If you have questions for me, I'd love to answer those. So please comment. Remember, my friends, to never excuse away that inner greatness, and always remember, life is good. Have a great day. Take care.